Hey, thanks for joining us for another episode of the Cybersecurity Whisperer for the week of May 26th. I am remote again this week, sitting in a college dorm, helping to chaperone some of my kids at a leadership camp. And it certainly brings back memories of some of the universities I worked at and the unique challenges that college campuses can bring with students, wanting to be creative in their research and pay for tuition with stolen credit cards, print fake IDs in their dorm rooms, and the such. But I digress. Moving into the week's security news, in the United States, this is Memorial Day weekend, and typically this holiday weekend has emerged as a prime opportunity for ransomware attacks as security operations teams scale down for the summer. Threat researchers and incident response teams are quietly preparing for the risk of malicious activity when staffing is minimal and millions of workers are on the road. Critical industries have faced certainly a series of threats from criminal ransomware gangs or nation state actors for much of 2024, and the official summer kickoff weekend is a prime opportunity for these malicious attacks. Speaking of employees, employee discontent is really insider threat number one. A lot of security professionals that only focus on detection technology, they don't engage with the human side of security, and they're missing a key ingredient for insider risk management. Really, when you think about how an employee views their relationship with their employer, it's super important, and it involves a number of people. You talk about executives, managers, supervisors, colleagues, all of whom influence how any given employee or contractor might view their position, in the corporate ecosystem. We looked at a study that came out from Code 42 that shows since 2021, there's been a 28% average increase in monthly insider-driven data exposure, loss, leak, theft events, and 85% of the survey respondents believe the trend is going to continue in the next 12 months. If you think about insider-driven data loss, it's going to be, information leaked by an employee either intentionally or unintentionally that can be exploited by external parties, and it can really have a range of use cases. Think about salespeople taking data from Salesforce, uploading it to Dropbox. You've got finance people taking corporate financial information, emailing it to their personal accounts. You've got HR folks using AirDrop to take sensitive salary data. But the fastest growing and scariest incidents that we're seeing, according to the survey, are software developers pushing source code to their own personal cloud repos like GitLab and GitHub and using Git commands on their endpoint. Almost all of the respondents, 99%, said that their company has a data protection system in place, but 78% of security leaders admit they still have had sensitive data leaked or exposed in 23. And findings also revealed, very interesting, that over the last 12 months, 55% of insider-driven data exposure has been intentional, while 45% was unintentional. Got some good news this week. The HHS launched a program to automate cybersecurity at hospitals. Certainly, they continue to be targeted heavily, and an HHS agency did announce Monday that this program aims to better safeguard hospitals. And the initiative comes out of the Advanced Research Projects Agency, and it's going to invest more than $50 million to build a software suite that could automatically scan model hospital environments for vulnerabilities that could be exploited by hackers and quickly deploy fixes. It really seeks to help hospitals keep their vast array of internet-connected devices up to date, preventing attacks and subsequent technology outages that can last for weeks and certainly ultimately threaten patient safety. Here's an interesting one for you. The SEC fined the New York Stock Exchange's parent company $10 million for failing to report a cyber attack. The Intercontinental Exchange agreed to pay $10 million fine this week to settle charges that it caused 9 wholly owned subsidiaries, including the New York Stock Exchange, which it owns, to violate a rule which required them to notify the SEC of a cyber intrusion within 24 hours unless it was immediately determined that the act would have no or minimal impact on operations. The matter stems from an event that occurred in April of 21 when the ICE did not notify legal or compliance officers at its subsidiaries, even after determining that a threat actor had inserted malicious code into a VPN device used to remotely access its corporate network. Instead, they took 4 days to assess its impact and internally conclude it was a minor event, according to the order. And, you think about this, given their role in the market and subject to the strict reporting requirements, they need to, it's just critical that they're in a critical market and they're an intermediary, that every second counts, and 4 days can certainly be an eternity. Interesting news from Microsoft this week. It seems, for those of you that still use VBScript, Microsoft is going to start killing it off in the second half of 24. They did announce this week they're going to deprecate VBScript in the second half of 24 by making it an on-demand feature until it's completely removed. And technology has advanced over the years, they said, giving rise to more powerful and versatile scripting languages such as JavaScript and PowerShell, which those languages certainly offer broader capabilities and are better suited and certainly, hopefully, safer than VBScript. This is a no-brainer, but a report came out this week that cyber attacks are good for security vendors and their business is booming. Historically, we have a multi-billion-dollar cybersecurity industry because we have an insecure, multi-trillion-dollar technology industry, which is so cause and effect, so true. And this was stated by an executive director of CISA, the Cybersecurity Infrastructure Security Agency, during RSA conference. Global spending on security and risk management is on pace to reach $215 billion this year, up 30% from $165 billion in 2022, and that's from Gartner. Cybersecurity investments driven by organizations' well-founded worries about cyber attacks underscore a counterintuitive element underpinning the market's trajectory. And you all know my views on that we need to go back to the basics, and a lot of that doesn't involve expensive technology. Here's an interesting one that I've talked about with the Flipper Zero and other technology, but an article came out this week that Teslas can still be stolen with a cheap radio hack despite new keyless tech that they push. So, we've had for at least a decade this relay attack that's the modern equivalent of hot wiring, where you can buy a cheap and relatively easy device and steal hundreds of miles of vehicles. And a more recent upgrade to the radio protocol and keys carless entry systems known as ultra-wideband communications, rolled out to cars including the Tesla Model 3, has been heralded as the fix for this ubiquitous form of grand theft auto. But when one group of researchers actually checked whether it's possible to perform these relay attacks against the latest Tesla and a collection of other cars that support this next-gen protocol, they found they're stealable as ever. They shared a video with Wired this week, and they demonstrated they could carry out this relay attack against the latest Model 3. Despite its upgrade to an ultra-wideband keyless entry system, they instantly unlocked it with less than $100 worth of radio equipment. And since that same Tesla 3 has the keyless entry system controls the immobilizer feature designed to prevent its theft, it means the radio hacker could start the car and drive it away in seconds, unless the driver had enabled Tesla's optional off by default pin to drive feature that requires the owner to enter a 4-digit code before starting the car. So you talk about true multi-factor. You need to make sure you have that turned on. Earlier this week, Microsoft CEO Nadella sat down with the media to introduce a horrible new feature called Recall as part of their Copilot Plus PCs. I don't know what they were thinking. They weren't. It takes screenshots of what you're doing on screenshots constantly of what you're doing. And the idea is it allows you to rewind back in time at the click of a button to see what you were doing at, say, 11 p.m. 2 months ago. It also classifies almost everything you're doing, seeing and typing. It's instantly searchable. It says it will not hide information such as passwords or financial account numbers. For example, if you log into your online banking site, your information around account numbers, balances, purchases will all be in Recall's database. I mean, this fundamentally changes the relationship with you and your Microsoft Windows computer, and it also introduces real risks to you, the customer. It just doesn't seem right. And lastly, Krebs put out a story this week, very interesting, that your Wi-Fi router that doubles as an Apple AirTag. And what he meant by that is, Apple has a Wi-Fi, based positioning system, WPS, that collects and shares the precise location of Wi-Fi access points, including those from Starlink routers. And researchers from the University of Maryland use this data to track military movements and other activities globally. This WPS allows devices to estimate their location using nearby Wi-Fi data. And in response to these privacy concerns, Apple now lets users opt out by appending no map to their network zones. This really has significant privacy implications, especially in conflict zones. So if you want to get your Wi-Fi networks, your home Wi-Fi networks, your work Wi-Fi networks removed from these location services, you can simply add the string _no map to your Wi-Fi name. So if your Wi-Fi name's public Wi-Fi, just change it to public Wi-Fi _no map. And Google and Apple both currently respect that no map string, but you do have to be patient with this one. Don't expect instant results. Your new network name has to be captured and uploaded by enough smartphones and then processed before your Wi-Fi network and your SSID are removed from the location APIs. Certainly you think about the Google Maps car, the Google Street View that drives through your neighborhood. It's collecting all your Wi-Fi SSID information as well, so it probably wouldn't be updated as well till that drives through. So practical advice, that's what we like to share with you here